Hello, YouTube. Here I am back again. So, I did mention in the last video I posted that I was kind of been watching Erin over at Crafting Kitty, and about a year ago she had posted a video um, of a little thing that was going around, but I guess I didn't see it or didn't really think I had anything so I could participate regarding it. But it was more or less showing off your oldest yarn. But I'm going to do mine in a couple different ways. Start off with quick little history of when I started to learn to knit. I was 12 years old, and it was about a month before my 13th birthday, and our school always had what we call a winter Olympic or electives, sorry. And it involved other curling, skating, skiing, stuff. Snowshoeing. I thought I'm not going to spend 6 weeks, like one day a week so 6 times, going out snowshoeing for like hours on end. I don't snowboard. I don't ski. I don't skate. I can't stand curling. Had to learn it one year in gym. Hated it big time. And this is before I broke my ankle, so my balance then was even not that great. Anyways, I always try to find something that was in the school I could do. Well, with my age bracket, there was a spinning class. So I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. Let's do it. I watched my mom knit many times growing up. So I thought this would be interesting. So I took that as my elective that year. There was other 6 or 8 of us students. I cannot remember exactly. For some reason I'm thinking 6. So I should have looked up the terms before I recorded this, and I'm apologizing in advance. But she had 6 clear bags of fiber, and we got to use the combs that kind of look like dog comb, like brushes, but they were metal teeth. And I know you held them and then you'd work them this way to go through the fibers. I know there's a term for it. I don't remember what it is, and I'm sorry about that. But once we brushed all the way through our fibers, then we had like a peg board, and we had to take little pieces and kind of spread it all over the pegs till it got full, and then we rolled it all off, and we spun it on the big huge spinning wheels. So that was kind of neat to learn. It's only one and only time I've ever got my own fibers prepared and spun. Once we got it spun, we got to dye it. Now, I've been a natural redhead all my life. If I can get into a box I have in storage in my bedroom closet, I will definitely pull out my picture of me at 13 days old to prove I've always been a redhead all my life. And I don't recall red ever being a color I liked growing up. I have a red sweater right here, but very rarely do you see me wearing red just because of the red hair. Well, after we spun our fiber into a hank of yarn, we got to dye it, and for some unknown reason, I dyed mine red. I've always been not so much a pinky girl either, because again, the red hair, but blues, teals, purples. Like purple's my all-time favorite color, and then it's teal, and then blue. Well, technically, we probably didn't have teal as an option, and purple, if we didn't have that as an option, I could have made my own with blue and red. But or just gone blue, but for some reason, I went red. So once we dyed our yarn, we then got to learn to knit mittens on double pointed needles. So we learned to do it in the round. And I've never knit a day in my life at this point. And I thought, okay, this is really interesting because I saw my mom use her DPNs, but most times, if not, she was working on circulars or flats. So this was definitely something new for me, but we got to learn how to do the rib, and then, the increasing for the thumb area, like on each side of our thumb, and then how to put so many stitches on a needle or a stitch holder, and continuing up the thumb and decreasing, and then adding the rejoining and making your thumbs. I am so sorry. I just jumped. Okay, we're going to pause for a moment because I don't know if this is legit because it's going on the Okay, it was a test. That quickly, it was a test. I am so sorry, people. I didn't know they were testing them. Hubby and son, neither one of them told me there's any signs up in the hallway, so 10 on the one, there was no notice, because lately they don't give us notices for nothing lately here. Anyhow, I made myself a pair of red mittens. Now, at my library, for a good while there, I was printing out patterns off of Pinterest fairly frequently. But the one day I was kind of looking, because I was actually looking for mittens, and I came across this one pattern from Red Heart, and I don't think this is the exact pattern I used. Actually, I don't even think these are the right ones now that I'm thinking of it. Actually, I'm almost certain these aren't the right ones. But the photo looks awfully familiar to the photo that was in the pattern we used of the mittens. I don't think this is the pattern we used. Now that I think of it, because I do have another mitten pattern, and I had some writing at the very top. So this isn't the one. I don't know where my binder is. I can't pause and go. I could pause and go look for it, but I'm not going to. So we're going to scratch that. So I thought, okay, if this was the one, it'd be like, okay, the pattern to the very first thing I ever made. Pretty cool. So going from patterns, I thought, okay, let's kind of look at my stash of pattern books. I don't have a whole lot. And see which one I think might be my oldest, because unfortunately, no date. Well, wait till you see the cover on this. This has got to be the oldest pattern I have in this house. Because, like, some of these pictures are old. Here you go. Like, it's an old book, let me tell you. And it's just like, there's like doggy coats, which I know you can find those a lot on Pinterest. That's not the part that seems like it's old patterns, though. Because after the doggy coat comes teacup pot warmers. I couldn't tell you. I don't think I've ever seen anyone I've ever known to have a teacup or teapot warmer. But yeah, there's some more. And I'm like, okay, these kind of scream, I don't know, late 70s, maybe early 80s. I'm thinking more the 70s. And then we've got some, as they call them, slippers. I don't think I would ever make them. I don't even know how this came in my possession. How about that one? Now, I will admit, the one set of slippers here, these ones, with the pom-pom on them, I've made that style of slippers many, many, many times. I love that style. I whip them up pretty quickly. They're like your standard grandma, go-to slippers. Then you got a few toys in here. And like those scream old style looking toys to me. From like considering this little clown. I had one very similar to that as a very young child. And I was born in the mid-70s, so this book could even be from back in the 70s. Like, it's old. And then we've got our different toilet paper roll covers. So if you have a toilet paper roll sitting on the back of your toilet, like the little doll, actually those are dogs. The little doll one, Barbie doll type one is common, but the hat's kind of cute, and then the dogs, the little poodles. I thought, okay, that's kind of different. Like the Barbie doll one, I remember, I want to say my grandmother had one when I was really little, but I could be wrong on that. Then these ones look like they would go onto an adult large beverage bottle, glass bottle. That they kind of like. If you look how tall they are, they look like they go on like a wine bottle or something in your specialty cabinet. you know. But yeah, that's all the patterns in here. But yeah, there's the oldest pattern book I think I own, which is like, oh boy, She's an oldie. I don't know if I'll ever make. Well, I'm holding on to it because, like I said, the one set of slippers, I've made that style different times, and since I have it, it's easier than trying to go online and finding a pattern. But anyways, so what Erin had shared in her video that intrigued me was she, like I said, was cleaning out her one closet slash cubby hole and had come across a scarf she had made with some yarn her grandmother gave her way back when she was a child. So I've got here to my right 3 bins. Top bin is the bin I use the most. I call that bin number 1. It's my worsted weight yarn. If I've got any cakes in the house at the time, they're in there. I've got 2 different zip-up clear bags that originally had sheet sets in them. One holds what cotton I have, like dish cotton, like doing dishcloths and face cloths. The other one holds what little sock yarn I have, so it's all together. Bin number 2, the middle bin, has more balled up worsted weight yarn and my thinner stuff and some of my older stuff that, I either accumulated from a neighbor in the building who gave me a garbage bag full of yarn that somehow she got but wasn't going to use, or a reuse it place that I'd gone to a couple times and got, like, a nice little clear bag full of mixed match yarn just to add to my stash. And then my bottom bin, my bin 3, the one I very rarely go into, but I was in it just the other day actually to pull out the eyelash yarn for the shawl I showed in my previous video. But it has my eyelash yarn, my ribbon yarn, my sachet yarn, my 5-weight, 6-weight, and I think there's even possibly some 7-weight yarn. I know I had at one point 2 things of t-shirt yarn, but I've used it since then. That bin I very rarely go into. But bin 2, for some reason, had a lot of sachet yarn in it. This should have been in bin 3, so I took it out of 2, put it in 3. 3 is full. Completely full. Like, I barely got the lid closed on it. That's how full it is. Bin 2, there is still room in it, because I was trying to make room out of bin 1, because I slowly want to start stocking up on more yarn, and have bin 2 colors, like the smaller stuff, more for like backup for smaller projects. So while I was reorganizing what was in the bins, I came across this yarn. Now, I don't know if this one will be my oldest label or not, because I thought I'd had one here that I thought might have been the oldest. Now I don't know. But with yarn in still label, this would have to be my oldest. I don't know if any of you have ever used this yarn. I have never seen it. And it says it's for Sears. Right there above my finger it says Sears. So this yarn was made specifically for Sears store. It's actually not bad feeling yarn. You can tell it's a little on the thinner side. But if you're doing like something with color work and you're using like a size 3 weight yarn, there's nothing wrong with this. There's not a whole lot there, but there's nothing wrong with it. But originally I didn't have this one pulled out because I have a box over here that, like a keepsake type box, I keep all my labels in, and I went through it because originally I was just going to show labels today in this video, and I pulled out 3. This one I'm going to show you first. I don't think is my oldest label, but it's pretty up there. I'm going to put this easily in the 80s. This first one I showed you on the black yarn, I'm thinking this could be 70s, early 80s. This one here, I'm thinking possibly mid 80s. And this one was made for Zellers. Right below my finger, it says Zellers. And it was a baby yarn. What yarn it had in it, I don't know, because I know at one point I was in bin 2 and some of the dresses fell off my yarns. So either I've already used this yarn or it's still in there. I just don't know which one it is. But I don't think that's my oldest label, but I thought it was kind of neat how it had Zellers on it. I'm thinking my oldest label, until I found that black one, was either this one or the next one I'm going to show you. And I'm thinking the next one. So there's this yarn. This one is made for Eaton's. Right there below my finger it says Eaton's. So there's that yarn. Now, unfortunately, none of these labels have dates on them as to when the label would have been at least printed, which I wish they did. Now, this is the one I thought was my oldest. And I'm thinking mid to late 70s for this one. And it's also Eaton's yarn. And I'm thinking it might be older than the Sears one. But honestly, I think this is the oldest label I have possibly in my house. And yes, here at the very top, it does say Eaton's on it again. But I honestly think that is the oldest label in my possession, which I think is kind of neat. There's going back. Oh, there's my son. I want to say hello, my son.
Hello.
Anyway, so I think that's the oldest label I have. It'll either be that one or, like I said, this one here that's with the yarn. But I think this orange one here is my oldest. Just by looking at it, that's the vibe I get. I don't know if any of you guys have ever used any of these yarns. If so, and you kind of remember when they were out, I would like to know. So going back to the first thing I ever made was my mittens. Then the second thing I ever made, and I used to babysit a lot at this time of my life, so always had babysitting money. My mom had a similar book like this idea, a little, small pattern book, and it had a few sweaters in it. And there was this one, I kind of liked it. Now, it was done in panels, so it was done on flats. And my mom helped me, size it right for me and how much of each yarn color I would need because I was going to do some color work. So it started, now the color work was supposed to be front and back. I only did the color work on the front half. And if you remember vests where they'd have like the cross, like the diamond design and, multiple colors running through it. Oh yeah, once you did the ribbing, there was a color work section that either had 10, 12, or 14 colors. And it was about this tall. And it was supposed to be on the front and back, and you ran almost every color on every row. A lot of color work. Why I challenged myself to something that extensive, I really don't know, but I did it. I finished making the front. My mom helped me to understand what it meant by shaping the armholes and stuff like that. Then I decided, because the tension was a little tight, but with that many colors and never doing color work before, I did a pretty good job, I think. Then I decided for the back, I was just going to do it solid, just the white, like I did the upper body and the sleeves. Put it all together with a bit of my mom's help because I've never sewn, something together before. Because obviously, like I said, my mittens were done in a round. Went to put it on. It did not fit. I was already the next size up. That's how long it took me to make it. So that was the second item I ever made. Now the third and the fourth item. The third one, I did it in royal purple. And then the yoke had a bit of color work, just one color. So I was only using 2 different strands. And the yoke, I did it in like a very light off-white color. And then the collar, it was a rib, but you're supposed to make it so tall and then fold it in half and stitch it in. That's how I did the first one. Body was purple, yoke was off-white. I was trying to think if I was still living at home or if I was already on my own. I think I was still living at home when I made that purple one. So I was 16, 17, maybe 18 when I made it. And then once I was on my own, I moved out of my mom's at 18, a few months before my 19th birthday. At some point in my adulthood, I think, trying to think where I was living at the time. I think I would have been, I was 21 when I had my oldest son. I'm thinking I was about 23. I decided to make a second sweater, same style, but I changed it up. I did it black, and then the yoke on it was white with black specks. And then the collar, because I didn't like how tight the collar was with it stitched in. My mom did it for me. I wasn't sure how to do it to make it look nice. So she was nice enough to do that for me. But I found it was kind of tight. So then I decided the collar, I was only going to make half the height and just leave it as the collar. And I still have it now. You got to take in consideration, I have not worn this in a very long time. My husband and I used to be smokers. This definitely needs to run through the wash because the white is not so white, but here it is. Now, unfortunately, I do not have my purple one anymore. It got a nice big hole in it at one point, and I did not know how to fix it, nor did I have the purple yarn to do so. I do believe the solid colors were Red Heart, Super Saver, acrylic yarn. The yoke on this one I think was actually not Red Heart. I honestly could not tell you what brand it was. But I did pretty good at carrying my floats and everything. That's the inside. It turned out pretty good. But this is the oldest thing I had made for my maid that I actually still have in my possession. Now, I have not worn this sweater and I don't know how long. This one is a little tighter than the purple one I had. And I don't know if it's because I used a smaller needle for this one, but I do know the yoke on this one does feel a little tighter. But I know the white yarn was not the same brand as the black. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a quick my oldest yarn, my oldest label, my oldest pattern, my oldest project, and I still have it and love it. And I think my second oldest project that I own are the mittens that I made from this one for sure. And I know the mittens I made were the cuffs were off-white with a couple small stripes of a multicolored yarn I had that I believe was Red Heart Super Saver as well. I mean multicolor, like changes really quickly. And the whole mitt part, like the hand part of the mitt, was done in the multicolor, and then the thumb, I did it in the off-white to match the cuff. And I'm not 100% sure though if it was these mittens I did or the other pattern that I do know I have in the house and I've written on it, at least I used to have it. That one. It was either that one or this one. Actually, I think those mittens I did this pattern. No, it would have been the other ones. I don't know. But yeah, so those are, like I said, oldest patterns that I have, which would be this book. The oldest yarn label I have, I think, like I said, is this one. And the oldest project I made that's still in my possession is the sweater. So hey, if you stuck it out this far, I would love to see your guys' oldest pattern, oldest yarn or label, and oldest project you may still own for yourself, your significant other, your children. Someone in your home has it, and it's your oldest project. So if you've seen this far, I'm tagging you guys. Let's see what you got. Anyways, guys, thanks for sticking by. As far as I know, actually, I do know for sure, tomorrow I will have a finished Object Friday video for you for my head to toe winter knits. Because, like I explained in the last video, I didn't do a couple videos last week that I had intended to do. So, like I said, the object will be finished because it is finished. It's just sitting here to the side. So if you guys want to go over to my post page, and it will be the very first post under the tab, like once you click on it, and it'll give you 3 options to pick which project I will make next out of my head to toe winter knits book. I'd really appreciate it. I haven't been over to look, so I don't know what the votes are right now, Alan, the 3 items. But I do know hubby and I are going to the camper again this weekend. And I'm going to bring Sophie with me if I don't have a project determination by the votes. But if by tomorrow I do know 100% for sure what project won, I will take that with me. But if not, I'll be taking Sophie. So you guys, I will see you on Friday with a video. So have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.